Resolution Remix 5-Day Challenge. You started by getting really clear on what motivates and energizes you. Then you focused on your priorities. And then you started to plot out some of your goals. Today, it's time to actually take all of that work and start to lay the foundation for creating your goal for the next however long you desire. Welcome to day 4 of our Resolution Remix Challenge. I'm so glad that you're continuing to stay with us, and I hope that so far this week you've been gathering a lot of great reference information to help you set yourself up for long-term goal success and achievement. So as a quick recap, day 1, I'm going to share my screen really quick here. So for day 1, you started by identifying your operating manual and specifically what motivates and energizes you, what gets you excited day in and day out, or momentary times throughout the week or month, what gets you energized and motivated, and what's most important to you. Then on day 2, you identified your top 4 priorities, the things in your life that are most important. Then yesterday, you started to plot out what some of your goals are within those 4 categories. So you started thinking about things like, for me, I had in my personal growth, I wanted to read 2 books a month, one for fun and one for growth. In my health, I identified that I want to be more consistent with movement. For my relationships, I said I want to be a more present friend, family member, and spouse. And then for my finances, I wanted to increase my financial intake. Now, you may have created many more goals. You may have written down a bunch of them in your list, and that's awesome. I actually really wanted you to do that. So that way you could get an idea of all of the different goals that you have in the 4 most important areas of your life. Now, granted, we can talk later about if you have ones outside of those 4 quadrants, but the truth is, unless they fall within those top 4 quadrants, the reality is you're probably So now if we go back and we actually look at our list for today, for day 4, what we're going to be doing is defining a thematic goal. And what do I mean by a thematic goal? Well, I'm going to go back here to my screen share. When we think about a thematic goal, we're actually borrowing from an organizational leadership guru. He's kind of one of my fave guys. His name is Patrick Lencioni. And he wrote a book some of you may have been familiar with called 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. It's a really great book when you think about any teams that you have in your life or your work. But he also wrote this book called Silos, Politics, and Turf Wars. And he talks about this idea of a thematic goal to help you focus and achieve short-term goals that have long-term benefits. What Patrick Lencioni refers to as a thematic goal is a way to provide a clear direction for a short, fixed period of time. So when we think about a short, fixed period of time, we usually want to think about, say, for the next 3 months or so. I like to, when I'm setting goals, focus on the quarter. I can certainly have 6-month or even 12-month or longer goals, but I really try to focus on something that is short term. So that way I can ensure that I'm staying on track and I'm moving forward effectively. So what I want you to do is for today, take your piece of paper that you've been working with. So take that piece of paper that you've been working with where you had your 4 quadrants and you wrote a bunch of your goals. And I'd like you to take a look at them and start to see what type of themes, what type of words come to mind when you look at those goals. So for example, for me, for my relationships, I said I wanted to be a more present friend, family member, and spouse. So for me, some of the words that came to mind were things like presence and attention. It's also wanting to help grow and nurture my relationships. So those are some words that came to mind when I looked at that goal. And then if I go over to my health, and my goal was to be consistent with my movement. Some things that came to mind, some words that popped out to me were things like consistency, focus, investment, health. So those are some words that came out to me for that goal. In my personal growth, words that came out were growth, expansion, my intellectual health. And then when I look at my finances and I said I wanted to increase my financial intake, the word that came to mind was financial health, financial growth. And so, what I'd like you to do today is to look through and start to assign some words that come to mind or that stand out to you when you look at these goals. Maybe it's how you want to tackle it. Maybe it's what do you need in order to work through that goal? Or what does accomplishing that goal mean to you? What words come to mind when you look at that goal and you say, what would happen? What would it mean if I actually accomplished it? How would I feel? Or what do I need in order to accomplish that goal? So example for me, I would need consistency. I would need attention. I would need focus. I would need balance. Those are some of the words that might come to mind when I look at these goals that I'm trying to achieve. So as you're going through, and once you've started to identify some themes, some words that pop out to you, what I'd like you to do is take a step back and look to see if you can spot any patterns across the different goal quadrants. I'm going to imagine that you probably are going to find something that has a through line for each of your 4 quadrants. Because again, these are the 4 most important things in your life, the 4 most important areas. And often when we set goals, those goals, while at face value may seem very focused in one particular quadrant, the reality is that they have an impact across all of them. So I'd like you to go through and look over your goal list and see if there's a theme that starts to pop up for you. And once you've done that, I'd like you to come up with your thematic goal word or phrase. So once you find a pattern across those 4 quadrants and you find a goal where the same or similar words seem to be popping up for those goals in those 4 specific quadrants, that is going to be your goal that you're going to want to focus on for this short, fixed period of time. So example for me, I mentioned some of the words that popped up for me in my 4 quadrants: wanting to be a more present friend and spouse, being consistent with my movement, reading 2 books a month, and then wanting to increase my financial intake. And the word that came up for me was health. And it's health in all areas of my life. So what I said my thematic goal was for this next 3 months is to cultivate a healthy life and how I show up. And what that means for me is that cultivation of a healthy life, that is my theme for the next 3 months. Within that, I am going to cultivate a healthy life by cultivating the health of my relationships, by being more present and attentive, by cultivating the health of my health. So my physical health, cultivating my physical health by consistently incorporating some sort of movement, by cultivating my financial health, by finding ways and exploring opportunities to increase my financial intake. And I'm going to be cultivating my personal health by continuing to challenge my mind to think and grow. So for me, my thematic goal for the next 3 months is cultivating a healthy life. And so the 4 goals that I'm going to do that fall into that are the 4 that I just noted in my 4 quadrants. So that's what I'd like you to do today. If you have questions or you have some insights or ahas as you start to go through it, please share it in the chat here. Let us know. Let me know what you come up with as your thematic goal and for how long you're going to keep that goal. Again, the key here is that it is meant to be short. Now, this can be an overall goal that once you do it for 3 months, it just becomes part of what you incorporate into your life day in and day out, right? It's creating those habits. But for now, it's a very intentional, narrowly focused goal. So that way, it gives you flexibility in how you're going to achieve it, but it is also very clear on what it is that you are trying to achieve over the next 3 to 6 months. So look over your goals. Start to identify some words that pop out to you when you look at those goals. What does that goal mean to you? What would it mean to achieve that goal? What might you need in order to achieve that goal? Not from a tactical perspective, but from a mindset perspective. What might you need? What might remind you or keep you motivated for that goal? And then after you do that, look over the goals in your 4 quadrants and see if you can spot a theme across 4 goals. And then that will be your thematic goal for the next short, fixed period of time. So good luck. Please share your thoughts, your feedback, your insights, your questions in the chat. And we will meet one more time tomorrow to put the cherry on top of our Resolution Remix 5-day challenge and start to plot our path towards making this thematic goal real and achievable. So until then, good luck, have fun, and I'll see you tomorrow.